Couldn't tell you. All right, do we have something?
Just two things. I don't know whose responsibility or job it is to control height of whatever locking down that you guys feel.
Yeah.
So the rack was over there subway. The kid couldn't see over the bushes that are behind Subway's mill.
I've often thought that.
And I've had not my wife's car. I've had things how you gotta read out there. So I don't know. Just putting that out.
We've actually got that thing work.
It doesn't say that each one seems to be a deal. There's bushes, one right up a pickle.
Yeah.
So.
I know. So there
was, yeah, about 3 o'clock.
These people are scrubbed out, having problem, they're overgrown, they're back, and they're
just courtesy. Yeah, we talked about working we've got vegetation right now. Yeah, because there are no big places, come on, Jones are in that grass.
They're fish places, They got down there.
Of course, they want to stay.
Right.
We have to look at really how we can consider what it might be, but that's a good point.
So, man, and Jones roads and Street, our street employee, Brittany, told me one day this past week, she knew I was out there, there's another vehicle, couldn't see because of the grass. And she asked about that. And so I shot a couple of pictures when I was talking to Mike Sharp, Wayne County, Highway Department, and gave him the phone number for that property, and he contacted the owner next day, and the owner's kids were out there, 2 feet on top of it.
Good deal.
I know that's county, but at least let's have a proper us.
Don't have to have an emergency problem.
And then the only other I had 2 or 3 months back now on an audit or a permit issue, and I haven't heard anything moving forward. So I didn't know where that stood.
Over the misconduct characterization or permit.
Yes.
I think we got to the bottom of why that happened. Right.
I got it. I wasn't the only one, or was the only one. Why was I the only one?
Fair enough.
I came in and I'm had to allow, when I came in, I got 5 files. There were multiple situations where permit was not charged, should have been, or that were charged minimally, they shouldn't have been charged minimally. So I think if we look at net plus or minus, I think people got officers they should have got charged. That's just a comment what I saw when I started.
So you're saying
Before 40.
I think that.
With my head.
Nevertheless.
That's all commentary I have. So thank you guys.
Right on. All right, let's have a look at it again. I can make a motion to set the minutes on May 19, 2026 as in by. I went here. We can start parking, that was everybody. That's coming down line. Yeah. Becky. Approve that minutes, approve the minutes. Make a motion to approve.
I want to hear.
You gotta vote on the last one. I'll make a motion. Call for vote. You got a motion and a second, May 19, right?
Yeah.
I didn't have time last fall. 1, 2, 3, 4.
That's enough. Well, may not be 5.
Yeah, we have that.
We voted on that?
Yeah. We did. She seconded.
Yeah.
All in favor. Aye. Those opposed. Yeah.
All right, I'll make a motion to accept the, June 15th minutes.
Yeah.
Well, actually, not can. Anyone else that can that, just because you're like, can't. You're still correct, we have that, no.
I'll second.
You could have been one.
I was.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
No, you're anything, Jake. I mean, you guys have passed something, yes. Did you discuss any changes to the code? What's the problem forward? Okay. Dylan is in the forward. Here, I'm right in front.
Yeah.
On you. All right. Do we have some roof?
Yeah.
Yes.
What?
All those in favor? Those opposed. It makes us up. It is just up. All right. Tom.
I haven't agreed for it. No.
Were you all on the yet?
Approximately 12 very nice night, or second one about to be, kind of stressed out, there's some nice to, homes being built there. I think that, once that gets started, maybe more homes will be built. There's two now. One that's back home. There's no owner buyer yet. The garage next to Becky that we have signed contract on or stabilizing building. I suppose Mr. Randy said he has decided to avoid that contract, building on the law office. That's what I was told. Other than that, Manchester, structure project, was speedy, pad structure, steel order and gray iron, I believe all gray iron, structural steel. And then they have roof, covering it on. So that's like things going along as far as my side of things. The mason or laying block will screw up into 12 feet foundation. So the work would be along the south side of the building. The pad is boards with my trailer feet on parking trailers. So it seems to be moving along pretty well. I think weather's in the neighborhood for the work they've had to do. I don't know anything more about that. There's been a couple of homes that have been turned in to have orders. I don't think there's been anything, I mean, there's been a few, I'm not saying it's last year. At this time, I think I've been last year. So, other than that, the papers that I have left currently here are, I believe, the revisions that were requested when those changes in the ordinance in regard to chapter 92 for ground waste materials, and chapter 99, which is grass, weeds, and vegetation, and penalties for that, and then the revision of residential fire code, chapter 51, 110, through 51, 122, and then the authority of 51, 123 that was spoken about at Hagerstown. I think this is appropriate that be added into that section. So these are omitted, and I believe what I intend with these is this name to make the council get better.
Question, is it just look trashy?
Looks trashy is the right definition. So if it falls within the guidelines of this, then I think action should be taken and these are limited to code. Otherwise, looking trashy is within the explanation to take action. And then, of course, we also been faced with what kind of action can we afford to take? Because if it's a situation where we can find property owner / tenant for the situation, that sometimes it's for more activity than putting a lien against property because the town cut grass. So the penalty is what's going to trigger the activity to become compliant. And then there's sure various ways to achieve that. But I think that the council will look at this, and they may have input, maybe go over what we're trying to do. When you're ready and have looked at over, you can think about things, and we'll talk about what Brian's instructed you.
Can I ask you a question? On the first meeting, that's the stop, where I did.
That's all I've done. Yeah, that was the month before. That did get a state exoneration, the permits were issued when we got into the department. And they, as far as I am aware, are in compliance with the requirements. But the stop order is included that they didn't need construction design, which is legal.
Now, I'm not going to talk about properties that are probably amazing, but I still say there's one issue we have with this. Okay? Is that in Hagerstown, a lot of people have no way of trimming and tree branches and stuff like that. They have no way of disposing of it if they don't have a truck. And we have no place in Hagerstown for them to dispose of it. And, that's always been, and I respect Chris, some of you just don't want everybody to have everything to care for, that's what the town has everything, right?
Right.
And I mean, you could take it over to, if you got a job, you can always rush your love, and then you can get it free. But like I said, well, that's hard to trump. It's hard to,
Unless you hire someone to do it for you. Which is enough.
Maybe we have the spring, fall, people can cut branches out of the street that are, less diameter in their arm and shorter.
so that I have a suggestion on that too. So if you see you have tree branches and stuff like that you can do your own nuisance. Maybe if we talk about owners and say, hey, 30 days or 2 weeks, the city is going to have a pickup, and if you'll just get this all addressed and put it out on the curb, it'll all be picked up, and we're trying to work with you, but you got to work with us. Could do it in the spring.
To me, that sounds like a great idea, that's to you on what I do. I mean, I can see that would be.
Yeah, we've got one more property outside right now, we can access it, like if you wanted to do that over stuff,
To me, a monthly, like I said, it's not like a way to get it. If the budget allows, those hours, just check everything out. I usually,
Yeah. I mean, if I were to hire somebody to do mine, that's not an issue. I got a burn so that bottom, I just go to $5 and that makes me very happy. I actually do Ross, that makes me happy.
Can you look at that?
Yeah. So you got only relish, yeah. Not a bad idea. Does anyone have any objection to his wording?
I tried to fit in my list from our session. Good.
The only thing I need to comment on is point number 2A, period after nuisance.
Maybe really after this.
The last.
Okay. Well, I know you're trying to
But I think everything we're pretty well. But I got to thinking about when I was doing the definitions of the grass, sidewalk, if a person had overgrown weeds, grass, and whatnot, does the citation authority recognize the vegetation?
I suppose it would be if there's a concern about it exceeding beyond property that is on. I mean, this will, when it goes to seed and when it carries to the neighbors, it's probably on the state's list of weeds and growth that shouldn't be allowed to continue where,
I mean, like the citation itself,
Right.
usually titled recognize vegetation.
Okay.
And I think maybe it should be titled overgrown vegetation, because someone might say, well, I don't have enough to store vegetation in my yard, even though my yard is 14 inches tall.
get situations where people have a bunch of mulberry trees on their backyard, and they chop them down, we like mulberry trees. No, we,
I think what you do is you're just adding 99 if you grow a certain vegetation. That would be the clear article you decide. You would cite that in what their areas are. But you would put that clear article on 9.2 is a violation.
Okay. I just wonder what the tie in, someone would say about.
999, and give them a copy with violations.
So if we get this half, I have a name for Frank for that. And the name of it is stating that. Which is in the middle of the highway, right along. That's the city limits. And they have the most noxious weeds and thistles and brush on that thing that you get, and I spray it and I cut it and I try to keep so, that's my thing. If the state won't even buy it, it'll buy your citizens buy it. I mean, it's one of the worst there is.
It's a wonderful argument.
But I mean, I would like to buy it. Just for fun.
what about the nature preserve, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, there's just a bunch of, I mean, I was just looking at that thing and when I put it in, I did it a favor. Took a bush up in there, I was, anything I could get, I would get it over my trash.
Right.
I would charge them, which is about $25. I agree.
Hey,
But like I said, the conservatory is issue, right?
Yeah.
so I do like that the generation waste materials are operating on a penalty of $1 figure per day. So when you go to the weeds and definitions of all that, and then you go, and it's on the submitted document, it's not to be, it doesn't want to say what the penalty of remediation is, which is already in the code. And that goes through the front office and Julie and towns hired employees to go in there and cut it because of their cut order. And that presents yet another problem that is not written, because if how much in someone's backyard that is visible from public way as a nuisance can the town legally go in there and cut and remediate and remove and then bill against the lien of their property, put that against the property. So there's some photos here, because the property has flowering plants along the sidewalk that are overgrown, encroaching on the right of way of the sidewalk, and people complain because this is all overgrown, their backyard's mowed. But you turn that into Julie Neal, she notifies town employees that this is a cut order now, they've got 5 days to deal with it. And because it's required to be dealt with, and in 6 days, the town goes in there and cuts all this stuff back, the town has to be willing to provide manpower and be out of money. And where do you draw the lines? How much of that are you willing to do to keep the peace in town with the neighbors? You follow me? And I've got some great examples of that here in pictures. So there's a property in the northwest part of our town, it's got a 6-foot privacy fence across around all of the back and side of the property, except for a short span where the garage pulled in on the alleyway would be. And this yard is all grown up, it's grown up buildings, it's started growing across the telephone line, across the alley. A neighbor complained because the weeds scraped off the telephone line across the alley, was leaving marks on his vehicle when he pulled in the alley, parked in his garage. So in that complaint, I spoke to the owner, and he has since made some effort on the inside of that area yesterday, he's mowing inside. But Chris had Joe get the weed vegetation off the alley, or if you've got that open and try to go back, clear it away. But just because it looks bad from this much of the yard going in from the alley, how much is the town willing time and labor wise to go in and mow this guy's yard and his backyard, keep it? I mean, if in the junk and the waste materials bill or ordinance, it says visible from the public way. Now, if the weeds aren't visible from the public way, I don't think we've got really much to go on in life.
But that also brings up a good point on alley, because it's property lines, typically with the alley, so maintaining, free and legal along alley, not our responsibility, that's even property responsibility.
And so, in when we choose certain growth, certain vegetation, it specifically mentions, removing, this applies to all areas of property in street park, which is tree row, including areas between any public way, such as street or alleyway, and property owners suspended or built. So that's clear the alleyway. And the town can cut that alleyway and then build that property owner for that work, and not be going in their backyard and take care of it. You know, there's a line there. You need to figure out how to do that.
Going down the aisle, the view to the street, I can see it, it's on the alley, vegetation, and then the trees on the corner.
Sure. I mean, that barn is going to be torn down, and there's a lot of, between asphalt, the alley, and the building. That should be property owner's responsibility, and it should remain clear for your utility trucks, trash trucks, for any necessary travel down that alley. You should be able to do that.
Well,
There's a lot of avenues outside.
But the can see great.
So, for instance, we have the sidewalk now for going from the street sidewalk.
If you look on the weekend, there is property, between the street and sidewalk. There's some property lines got, in the local street, and there's a property line that comes into the sidewalk. Mm-hmm.
Brian, you took my pictures off my chair and decided it's time for him to see what they were all about.
Well, he can go get it.
Okay. So, regarding what we have there, do you think we're at a place where we can forward that on and get other additional input?
Yeah. So what if one of the items, okay? So what if one of these properties, they own only to the inside of the sidewalk? So then the nuisance is the town's nuisance.
I don't know where the road is to my understanding that between the curb and the sidewalk is the responsibility of the property owner to maintain.
Well, yeah, we had that discussion.
We
We like that, and we want to take something out of that, and then we want it to be ours.
There you go.
And I've always said this on down, we can't have it all the time.
So that's a legal question for our attorney to say this is where it is.
Probably, there's property, if you go on the easement, it says it goes, it's just into the inside of the sidewalk. I just say we own it. And it's our issue. You didn't want to do that.
Well, I don't care.
But I know we've had that conversation before, get into responsibility, you should be paying for new sidewalk or down.
That's the thing.
You better have tax money to do that anymore. You don't know where it is.
Never get it down that street.
No.
And some of them we probably own, probably some of them they own. But we still did it.
Just want me to pass these around. So part of my concern, okay, so for instance,
I like them.
the being able to go down the sidewalk. this is the raised property
Yeah.
on the sidewalk with these trees. Someone needs to be able to keep that open enough that you can walk down the sidewalk.
Now, what about you, what's your review of that?
Oh, great. So I don't know more about those and that's.
Looks like you can towns along over this, or east along.
Right, that's what.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
It might be both, I mean,
We
depending
had
on.
that argument at town council ever since. So they aren't going to levy or pay for it, and if we want to get something out, then we don't.
They're responsible, we own.
This is,
I've always looked at it as a sort of town that went in the tree, or, you know, they're out next to the tree, and the property under the tree, sidewalk, kind of a little bit of a gray area.
You know, why would we say that when Richmond does all over town?
They might be all over there now.
Sure, just go into my office. They got trees planted everywhere.
some of these are obstruction of view of oncoming traffic, like people have been concerned like there's ornamental grass. I mean, there's certain places, I mean, that's why in the proposed ordinance, the height of the 12 inches seems to be the limit on anything with a tree.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta know that.
No, I mean, you say across the border?
In the tree row.
Right, it's like a southern front house.
So here's other examples that are close to you guys, you know, things planted intentionally in the tree row for ornamental purposes by a property owner that become an hindrance to a motorist or pedestrian trying to see on a track.
Well, just being in the tree row doesn't necessarily, like to me, it has to be within some feet of it.
Well, you know, of that intersection. So there are
I agree.
places for it.
I think that's probably what needs to be defined is the visibility of the road.
We'll get to that here.
And
So
then
these are,
as they go, and then
right here on College Avenue, you can't find that alley because the Boy Scout family.
that's where it
And
is.
see the guy on the street, you know, curve. That should be car moving to the over. Yeah, that's the street. Here. It's actually in the road, we're, So this one is a structure, fence built into the tree row area where the handicap accessible sidewalk is. There should be no structures, man-made structures of any kind in that zone.
It's not an accident, and that walk.
These are handicap accessible sidewalks, but the only thing you're allowed, you're hindering a motor vehicle from seeing on a track. There should be no man-made structure. Yeah, that's true. But they don't get that, they see. And so then you got the better things that don't really pose as a visual problem for traffic. But if you let one you do something and you're letting the other do something else, then there should be nothing. That's a structure, that should not be allowed. So this one here is similar, they planted the miniature pumpkin vines in the tree row, and they're riding on the sidewalk and out into the street.
Yeah, but that doesn't change that.
Put tomatoes there next year. You want to be, I know you do, yeah.
With the picture, are you
Yeah, well, it depends on how far down the intersection.
I mean, things that are at the corner or this is right. This is like, this is
Right. But then again, if you have to take on, if you go
you cannot have anything over 70.
and then you can from your eye sidewalk. So the property that was demolished last year on the corner, that the town tore down, that's bad. And this is the name of
Got it.
they decided to plan with their sign completely out of the way.
Oh, brother. My whole last week.
So,
You did?
yeah. They man. There's another one on Washington Street, on South Washington Street. There's another corner, if I may, on South Washington Street, where the curb appears to not be there, where the corner is. And so the owner has made a boundary where the curb should be of flat rock. And they stack 2 or 3 layers of flat rock to build where the curb should be, and then they have, you know what I'm talking about? So, what's going to happen when they try to plow snow and hit that flat rock that's ornamental? It's not that big, but there should be a curb.
Right.
And pushes that flat rock on the sidewalk around in the street with the snow out, throwing the car on and it pass. That's amazing.
So, I think you gotta decide the garage.
The sign?
The guy on the side.
He didn't win.
I know.
He needs to have something wrong, that thing. Bring it
Yeah, the
in.
side is even more, a little more, remedy.
And then there's an This one right here is 6 and 4, and Main Street, right across the Speedway, you saw that one. And it's all around utility poles and the street light, or the spotlight.
Rick. Yeah, we're gonna be proud of that. We're gonna say that all later.
So this is a
Well, they were in violation and they didn't remove it, then now the town says that they will.
but there's flowers.
Which is that the one college Washington there? Is that the one we're at?
No, well, no, that one right there is, one block south on, the street here. Okay, where the donut shop is, on the little east corner, that intersection. It's a build-up.
Well, I mean, I personally, I don't know where that sits in their ordinances, but there is none there already. I think we ought to look at something that speaks to intersection and visibility. Yeah. Yeah, is that
gotta go, just amazing to me. You know, I want people to push aside and be all around and sidewalks out of the crowd.
And I think the terminology of physical structure by definition implies a built, something that is built. Down in rural wildflower, we have cast iron, some sort of a dolly with a crown on it, and foreign steel, setting in the middle of all those wildflowers, which you can't see right now, but it's been there for almost a year. There shouldn't be anything like that. You park there, you open your door, you hit it, you can't get out of your car on the passenger side because the tree root shield set up over the curb and into the space to be able to get to the sidewalk.
Till the dark town decides to go on that.
Yeah.
You got every right down here, and decorating, so you got, I mean,
I had a little more trouble with that. Not that I agree with your problems. Speaking of, but, I mean, that as opposed to what if somebody plants, a tree in the 2 feet, a decorative tree, or you can't open your door day, and you do that, and everything, so.
I think there's a place on the west face and in front of his house looks wonderful. I mean, it's perfect grass, it's clean, it's cut, it's like, to me, that's the way it should look. But,
I can't think of it, but that, as much as a safety issue, but that in this section, sideline, that's a safety issue.
here with wildflowers, you can't come out of that.
Yeah, and I agree, I mean, if those are within, again, so many feet of the hours, they need to be cut down to the appropriate.
I don't think you could walk down that sidewalk without either hitting the road, coming from the house side on the sidewalk, or the wildflowers.
And I agree with all those.
you know, you get that area, and that's when you water out the flower.
You
That
know, they think we water flowers That's all I got.
You know, off the top of your head, where would be an appropriate place in our ordinance to mention that, I mean, within one of those streets?
I think there needs to be, we have a, concern kind of out there right now, with the 30-foot wide, and someone can go down there and or on the side and do whatever. So they can come with a yellow curb, painted areas. I think we need to also take the yellow curb area plus whatever, landscape, and then they make our areas go ahead and have some, something that's going to be true, and anything over the or whatever.
I'm not sure what we're going to do when speaking about sidewalks and curbs. I know it's probably going to be a street section. And I don't know if that's the place to fit or.
I don't recall ever seeing anything about the area between curbs and sidewalk, period. I don't recall anything about that.
Another issue with it is some of the rain down there at the overhead oil company on College Street where the pole barn is, with the trailers that he parks on the apron for his building. It completely encroaches into the pathway of the pedestrian sidewalk because the sidewalk comes to his apron. You have to go to the right, almost all the way to the street, while past trailer bridge on his trailers, and where the pickup truck parks, and then you go back onto the path of the sidewalk where his apron. And then there should be.
That in itself, if you could really think about kids flying down the sidewalk,
On
bicycle.
Yeah. I think they're vulnerable. In an ideal situation, all of our sidewalks should be navigable by someone on a wheelchair and one person, and they're far on that. I mean,
I think they're, for the most part, a lot better than a lot of places. I mean, there's still some sidewalk around.
Well, some of these people will take a lot of money and energy to try to make their like a decorative, maybe, I don't know, value, maybe it's a little bit close to the street, but I hate to just go to the street here and look at all this. I mean, it's gonna be tough. How do you run these?
You think, do you think, I maybe ask the county, if our ranchers, get everything on the policy out on county road, as far as cleaning and all that, and,
They're, right around my house, the level, somebody didn't like how I put the corn.
Oh, yeah.
Running off that corner.
Well, but Steve told us that the county's not going to address any noxious weeds or anything.
Right.
He already told us they're not going to.
That's all that, yeah.
I think we were talking about line of sight construction, and this is completely different.
Yeah.
And I think maybe we need to regularly address that.
I think you can reference the penalty over the weeds, and, you know, if it is vegetation, I think you can reference that as a penalty. But yeah,
I agree with the line of sight construction.
Yeah. Because that can be used as vegetation, it can be used as signage, like if people are putting business sign or whatever, people are running their intersection. So for those, you know, it kind of references, no one's denying it,
line of sight.
So are you wanting us to take this, I guess, you guys, you want us to take, this, I don't know,
So I think we could, from my view, I think we're comfortable, we could throw a vote at the language, that if you take it, then
so that's what you want us to do.
yeah, vote on the language. Now, as far as adding to the code about line of sight construction, taking some time and thinking about that, I think I'm over that, and we'll talk about that at the next meeting.
I would think if it's a traffic engineer, I mean, police department, there's got to be some sort of code and standards already on the books. Subdivision, there's already certain distances, a certain angle, and a certain elevation of the structure, there's already.
if it is, the yellow curve, I mean, it's probably long, same line distance and that kind of thing.
We need to figure out what it is. About it, what you're saying, we create one chair and then recommend the council to approve that, rather than send it what we want.
Yeah, so as far as the definition and the rewriting of this language, I think we all approve of it. And I think we can vote on that day to move to council. But the next time I'll talk a little bit more about the comments about hindsight.
But that would be under this.
That would be
Unless it's determined at a later point.
but we're not voting on hindsight today.
Well, I hate to take this to
And then
council, have a attorney look it over and spend that money, and then 2 months later, we decide we want to add a line. I would like to set up myself, if we're going to add this, we need to get it finalized before we take it.
I think there is more else.
It's broad. It's broader than just vegetation, but I think it's more.
So we'll take this to council, give it to our legal counsel to look through.
Right. And then we'll figure out where it is in the line of sight. But I think we need to work on the line of sight to get it better defined. Or, we good?
So we've last week, we already taken the revision to the residential wire, the wiring section.
Yes.
So we just, I would make a motion that we take the council chapter 90
off the electrical completion?
No, that included, we were just taking that last meeting, but you know, it didn't take it.
Do we have a second? No, wait a minute, so I understand what I'm doing. So it's 9202, 9201 definition, and 9299 penalty?
Yes.
Okay, and then 9901 definition?
That doesn't have that in for that chapter on that.
Yeah, but
You know, already had it.
But the 9901 is the one.
That's what, yeah.
And delete some wiring of, okay, and then the 4051.123 is the one.
That's an amendment to the simple here.
Okay.
We heard that. That's a good problem. That's a good problem.
I just want to make sure that I think there was what you wanted to say.
We're doing all of that.
That's fine, if we want to do it all.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Still passed.
Thank you.
And Brian, you think those, or?
Yes, and it's, gentleman out here. Gentleman is one that really, presents town council, but I will do that. This. Thank you. Any old business to take care of?
One thing, we talked about having a drone fly over Great Pond High and doing some, schematic work with the lot, the demonstration might look like, and I have hired someone to do that, $3,600, I think we get flying over, and then the drone footage, they have them all for that. So,
And where we're at,
thank you, Mitch.
Any other, do we need to follow through on that? Or have?
I already.
He's already got it.
I think that one of our meetings that we, I don't know, pretty much giving permission to have it. Yeah.
It's one of those asks for doing.
No other open business? Okay.
Just real quick, because I know we talk about data centers and all that jazz in the report. I don't know if you guys pay much attention to the news. Well, there's all kinds of news, but, one, couple of podcasts caught my ear related to Aaron Rockfish, remember Aaron Rockfish? So she is now on data center, task. And it starts websites for data collection, mainly representing citizens who feel like they're being shut out from conversation and not knowing about things going on, speaks about non-disclosures that are happening between companies coming in and councils and things like that, so people aren't really hearing what's going on. So anyway, she's on kind of a podcast tour right now. She's done a couple of interviews that are pretty good to listen to kind of get an overview of what she's doing and maybe go out and see some of the websites.
Yeah, I think it's good advice. I've been watching some information on the thing. So the split attorneys, and billionaires are talking to council members, making them sign a non-disclosure agreement, so then they can't, which is of course very cool, but they're getting away with it. So have we got anything to mitigate them in the town or to not bring it? No, but I think we need to have direct language. And it comes from here. So, I mean, if we want to do it, we better do it, because once they put one here, you can't say you've been talking about it. I'm going to work on that.
I don't think anything about that too, and you know, the issue it seems with not just your data centers, but like every hot topic like this, whether it's data centers, windmills, solar farms, what have you. You know, you never kind of know what the next thing is going to be until it's hot topic everywhere. So I was just wondering just thinking about opportunity growth criteria and requirements around the, maybe try to encompass all things like that.
For example, any structure that emits noise, pollution, over water usage, taxes, utility, you know what I mean?
You gotta be able to quantify, like, like things I was thinking of, like, any entity that, whose proposal includes, either an energy use or water use that equates to, 25% of the town water current usage, or, some significant portion where it's gonna, overnight either, 1.5 times double our usage and more likely drive all the rivers up and all that kind of stuff. That kind of parameters to put around it to say anything that is to be proposed like that has to go through whatever process you'd like to kind of add on top of it, just permits, public hearing, time commitments, whatever that is.
Such a hot topic, it shouldn't be too hard to find some sort of information that's already in place.
But I think that's what we ought to try to, rather than saying, we're not allowing data centers, okay, that's fine, they'll go somewhere else. Something else may come in, and even that hot topic that people don't want.
Yeah, we want to cover our bases, is what we're saying, I agree with you.
It's interesting, we'll talk about every couple of years about annexation, and maybe this would be a good way to get people on board with annexation, and we would have to take one little bit more reasoning to control, what goes on between 170, because right now, you get those little road, you have control over an entire area.
Control the amount of acres allowed to a particular project.
Yeah.
And that's a good one.
But it's the reality for a lot of communities here in Indiana, and never mind across the country. I don't know what the tax is, but they're only going to build a data center on the west side of Frankfurt, but next to Tweedy Lake is 800 acres. It's insane. The noise and the...
Which is probably spot.
So, just a comment, I agree with what Sean said, that if we look at, we will want to be very careful with our verbiage on electric or water usage, because we don't want to limit ourselves, because actually, we would like to increase our
Industry, right?
Well, yeah, we want to make sure that we like to increase our billable electric and water, so we have more revenue coming into town. So you don't.
No, I agree, and what I'm saying is not that we, like, build it into the, zoning that's not allowed, I'm just saying anytime you have a big additional need like that, then it needs to go through some extra hoops. And then includes public hearing, an opportunity to gather more widespread input than it just joint council or joint commission, whatever it is.
I agree. I didn't quite understand, so.
There's been big developments on my restrictions just in the last week in that area. Calling for any data centers to be completely standalone on their electric.
Yeah, I think like New Carlisle, everyone wants to go up by 2%, because you're not on their own load.
And that's very big control, but so they say, okay, you can do that, and then you go have a whole bunch of like, all that other stuff.
Right, and no one to go, you can do this,
Motion to adjourn. We have,
We'll say, like,
and so it is. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you coming out of schedule. And I decided to do, use the payment method because it's more direct and it gets less long, you get a red on email. So I apologize, I